everyone, and welcome to another beautiful day of LCS Academy. It is Friday, the sun is shining, the perfect way to introduce your weekend. I'm your host for today, Sierra Dawn, joined by these two lovely humans. First off, Joshi, hello, how are we doing?
Hello, I'm doing pretty good, but I feel like Mark's about to ruin my day.
Why would you say that?
You know what's coming up, Mark. I haven't received any.
Spoilers. Okay.
Oh.
I mean, Rafa, to start off this stream, I know that you had a little something to share with the class.
If no one gifted you the Star Guardian skins, it's 'cause you're ugly. Don't ever forget that. If you looked better, you would have the skins you want.
All right. So, be honest, who here has had the Star Guardian skin gifted to them?
I haven't had any, but we do know one thing. Catliente, this is your call-out. You know what to do.
Lawrence is on thin ice!
All right. Now that we'll start off the stream publicly. Public callouts. That's always a fun one. Please, I'm hoping Kelsey's doing something else, not watching the beginning of this broadcast.
She's watching Path to LCS. We're good.
We're good. We don't have evil genius over here. We won't catch her over on our broadcast today. We can meme all we want. So to get a little bit on our schedule and to sum up things that have happened earlier on in this week, or actually even just yesterday, a couple players over in Academy have been doing exceptionally well. And considering that this is the chance to be showcasing the talent that we have up and coming and show them off to see, try and set them up for success going on into LCS in the future, we have to talk about these two individuals yesterday.
Look,
first off, Bradley, Joshi.
Sierra, I finally understood why you said we should read the tweet and then shout-outs to Bradley. This makes way more sense now.
I did not say that. First off, you said that, and I didn't say that. I didn't say it.
Bradley's a good-looking dude. I was like, what do you mean?
I didn't say that.
He's so hot, but he's also hot on the actual broadcast as well. We saw him solo kill Solo 3 times.
Dude, that
especially after
flash.
Solo's tweet himself, man. But Copy's also looking pretty hot today, right? We still got the Friday coming through. Copy's having a great time outplaying everybody, getting multiple solo kills, not just on Concept, but also on Ryoma before the laning phase is even over. It's kind of impressive how some of our newer players have had this opportunity to look really, really strong, especially coming into the second half of the season. It's showing that they're not just good players to start with, they're showing growth.
I mean, Copy, for him particularly, he was someone that was super outspoken about wanting to show more highlight plays, more flashy moments, so that he can get rid of the stigma of, like, being the control mage that would always facilitate stronger resource-intensive junglers in the past, like Kenvi back on 100 Thieves Next, or even Malice for the prior split. This is a split where Copy, even coming off of the break week, Cloud9 4-0 across their 2 series so far, and Copy is one of the main reasons why they're doing so well.
Got some good looks coming out. Not so good look on the desk here as Joshi trying to slander the other Academy talent. So
I was so confused. Why are we shouting out Bradley? He's a good-looking dude.
Can we just agree that it was Rafa and move on here?
Okay, Mark, I'll go ahead and leave that there.
All right. Well, it wasn't me, but we'll settle this. We'll settle this elsewhere. But for now, checking in with the players and how they play is not the only thing we do on Academy. Of course, being able to interview the players after the games is always a nice highlight, especially when the interviews get a little maybe out of hand, I would say.
That's for sure. I can't wait to see.
On your team. How was it like going against Anda again?
Yeah, it was fun playing against Anda. Got to play some very exciting Volibear jungle matchups. Definitely haven't played those too much, like the Volibear Trundle. I think he's a pretty good player. He's been really good in Academy, and he can play both styles. But I do think with this like kind of tank jungle style, I have the edge, and we just have more coordination as a team. So.
And after we heard a little bit of chatter from you and Diamond in the beginning of the show, you come out on top with the Cinna comps twice in a row, the Yasuo in game number 1. Got anything to say to Diamond on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, Diamond's trying to start this rivalry, but he better progress it really quick, because next year I'll be in LCS and he'll still be in Academy, so there will not be a rivalry then.
Ooh, I like
We're
it.
gonna go through and rate your previous hairstyles and let me know if you think they'd work for me. Okay, so out of 10. So this first one, you ready? This is MSI 2018 version of King. MSI 2018 King. Here, let me try and move it up a little higher up in the screen so you can see it better. There we go. How would you rate this out of 10?
Out of 10, I would say this is like a. Out of all my haircuts, this is like an 8 or 9. It's very similar to my current
8
hair
or a
right now.
9? I like it. I like it. The glasses are looking.
It's just a bit. It's a bit shorter, but
yeah,
it's very similar
shorter
to
on
my
the
current hair,
side, right?
and the color adds like a solid 1 to 2 points. Yeah, I give this maybe
I agree.
8.5, 8.5. And
So
on
what's
you,
going on
I
here
think
then?
it'd look good.
What's going on here with OPL 2019 split? Okay, what's
So,
happening?
What happened was right after that last haircut, I shaved my head.
Mhm.
And this abomination is the process of my hair coming back.
Okay.
And you'll see a very similar photo if you look at 2021 spring.
Well,
Yeah.
no spoilers. Let's move on first here to number 3, NA Academy 2020 Spring. I think this one's pretty good too. This one's kind of more like that first one.
That was it's a bit too long here, and it's like this was around 6 months after I bleached it, so the colors like you see, so there's a lot of black going back. There's a lot of regrowth. I don't like this one as much. I wanted to get a haircut
don't
before
like
this,
this
but I didn't
one.
have time. This is like a 7. I'll put this as a 7.
All
or
right,
6.
7. How about this? How about LCS summer 2021?
This is so what happened was at the end of 2020. Actually, no. At the end of 2020, yes. At the end of 2020, I shaved my head.
Okay.
And I was regrowing it. And in February, I got a haircut. And the way I get the same haircut every time. I shave the back and sides of my head, like you can see.
Okay. Oh, it's still
Like
shaved.
the-
Oh, wow,
It's
nice.
shaved,
All
right?
right.
And the hairdresser misheard me, and she just buzzed down the middle of my head. And this is the result of
So
that. I had
that's
to
how you end
regrow
up
my
with
hair.
this.
Yes,
That's the same
exactly.
thing that happened to me. We must have the same hairdresser. I don't know what to say, King.
That's.
You can tell.
I feel
Even-
bad.
King, even in the picture where he has the short hair, it looks like he just got right out of the hairdresser. Just like, this isn't what I asked for. This isn't what I asked for, you guys.
It's just when you're at home looking in the mirror, contemplating your life a little bit, like, oh no.
At that point, you just go full bald. You go the full Kangas. It's hard to say.
You got to commit at that point. Otherwise, partway through the look. But can we talk about the bars that Busio dropped? That's some mad heat, man. Saying, I'm going to be an LCS while you'll still be an Academy next year? Oh my god.
Is it trash talk if it's just facts?
Oh,
Right?
oh, hey,
Was she
the
doubling
future
down?
the future has not been written yet. So there's still time. There's still time. We'll see how things pan out in the next few months here. But damn, that's some expectations for Busio now to live up to. He set it up. It's on the internet, and as we know, once it exists on the internet, it never goes away.
I mean, I like the confidence. I'm liking the good look coming out here, and I feel like a couple of the teams after the break week 2 actually hit the ground running. They had some great looks, and I wanted to take a little bit of a moment to discuss which team that we thought had the best break week. Okay, to go to the beach, they got to do whatever, but they came back to Academy and they came out to play. I don't know if you two have anyone in particular on your mind.
TSM has a pretty good roster now, gotta say. It definitely feels as though bringing all this known talent back into their team is obviously leveling them up quite a bit, but I feel like it gives them a very clear identity as well. It was a team where they had a lot of developmental pieces and a lot of moving parts, but now they have a very clear idea. Let's get Takeover, let's make him as good as possible and give him all the tools around him to make him comfortable in his games.
And it is cool to see that despite having a lot of veteran talent come in, players with a ton of experience either on the LCS stage prior or in other major leagues beforehand, it is still Takeover that is shining in some of their best games this week. But I think one of these that had the best break week, I mean, me and Josh kind of repping the swag that they gifted us a while back. CLG 4-0, the only other team other than Cloud9 Academy that have been sporting a great week, and they managed to do it with their top laner Jenkins almost getting incapacitated, and he came into the series like, I got hit by a car and I'm still dumpstering the lane matchup. What's up? What's good, man?
We've
Did
seen
the
him
car
dove
hit
multiple
him,
times.
or did he hit the car? Honestly, at this point.
You know, it's a bit of both, you know. We know that Jenkins likes to throw down. He does a little bit of trash talking. He was probably saying some mad crap to the driver immediately beforehand, and he showed up anyway.
Okay, let's not put that out in the universe. I feel like this is going to be clipped and used out of context in an interview, insurance claim down the line. I don't know. For myself, I'm just going to say it's GG. Yeah, maybe they lost 3 out of their 4 games, but they came out of the gates off of their break. First thing they did was take a game off of TL in a pretty strong fashion. So, you know what? I think they came out of the break strong. I won't talk about the other 3 games. I just...
That wouldn't fit the narrative, you know. Revisionist.
This is exactly it. I like what I saw. I get to ignore the rest that happened. And, you know, it's not the end of the week yet. So you never know what's going to happen. We still have a full day of League of Legends action ahead of us. Pulling up the schedule, of course, we are over on the Academy channel, so we get to follow 3 games going on today, starting with Ravas Raver here with Dignitas going up against Cloud9. Later, we get to visit TSM up against 100 Thieves, and finishing off with FlyQuest and GG. Of course, there's 2 channels, and there are more games, so if those ones don't strike your fancy, head over to the Path to LCS channel where you can check the 4 teams battle it out. Of course, the talent over there is probably not slanderous or making up accusations on the desk, so maybe you might have a nice...
too, don't worry. I got plenty of day left.
Okay. My bad. Out for blood today. Okay, I see you. We could have had a nice time heading into the weekend, but that's okay. Well, Yoshi's definitely making his voice heard, and anyone else who wants their voice heard or to just follow along with any Academy updates, you can do so. Path to LCS on Twitter. Or if we want to, you know, try and make fun of our own casters a little bit, always looking for new reaction pictures to add to the folder to be throwing up on Twitter or in any of my segments. So maybe help me out a little bit. So, wait, what is...
Right there. Path to LCS.
Go.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect. I mean, before we go too far, I want to give a quick shout out to our social media manager, Austin. He's been doing a great job, and he is going to love all of the new fire that you give him. If you just, like, randomly pause at any point, they have all 3 of us on screen, at least one of us is going to have something that you can give up.
The more atrocious and embarrassing we look, the better it is going to be Austin's day.
It's not hard. It's not hard, right? I still don't have any Star Guardian skins.
Hey, maybe someone takes a picture so nice that one of us gets gifted a Star Guardian again by the end of the broadcast. That's another way to go about it. No. We have a broadcast to be going on for that. We can go check our socials and stuff later. Let's start narrowing in on Cloud9 up against Dignitas to start off the day. And I mean, I feel like this should be just a fun matchup overall, because these 2 teams are actually pretty decently matched, Yoshi, in terms of how well they've been performing in their matches and their record.
True. In terms of their overall records, right, Dignitas 14-10, Cloud9 15-9. It looks like they're only 1 game separated, but I do want to give a bit of a caveat to that. This team is 11-3. Cloud9 have only dropped 3 games since King came back, and that was to Team Liquid, CLG, and FlyQuest. And these are some pretty darn good teams that you do have to be wary of. Whereas Dignitas, they've kind of maintained themselves as like right underneath a lot of our top 4 squads, and so this is Dignitas' chance to prove that they belong in the conversation of the actual top of the table instead of just the top of the blob.
And I really think it comes down to both of these bot lanes for this particular matchup for Dignitas and Cloud9. King and Destiny, we haven't really gotten a chance to talk much about how well they have shown as a bot lane duo, but remember, for any fans of Academy that don't know their Oceania server history or LCO history, King and Destiny were the former bot lane of Mammoth back in the day, and so this reunion has brought them to not only a comfortable synergy that they are used to, but also one that has allowed King to shine in the summer split in retrospect to the spring split, where he didn't get the scrim time. He wasn't able to be technically a full-time starter for Cloud9, and now King is being given the resource, he's being given the practice time, and he's showing why, when we looked back at him in 2021, he was one of the best marksmen in the league.
Yep. And I know I talked up to one of the LCO casters recently, Skimmy, who we had a chance to work with a while back, and he was saying, watching King and Destiny come over and have an opportunity to play here in North America, everyone is stoked, right? They saw Kevy come over and it's like, yes, you want to have an opportunity for our Oceanic players to move to NA because it's a great place to advance your career. You're going to have more opportunities for strong showings at Worlds just because we have such a large talent pool that we can potentially draw from. And now King and Destiny, I feel like King in particular has really showcased what Cloud9 were missing when they didn't have him on their main roster.
Yeah, definitely. I don't feel, as you were touching on, have given King the proper respect that we need to, but I feel like that's where we need to really narrow in the conversation going into today's match, because 11-3 since King and Destiny have joined is absolutely phenomenal, and even just plays like this, I think a big reason that Cloud9 had a better record going under their name.
Yeah, I mean, a big thing that we have to know is that King has been one of the primary players of Tristana, one as a counterpick to champions like Zeri, and two as a counterpick to champions like Seraphine, right? Everything that has this weaker early game, King is saying, I'm not going to let you get away with that. I'm going to jump on you, I'm going to be aggressive, and I'm going to get over this mid-game trough just by having better opportunities to fight. And we've been seeing King kind of match up with players like Yan in terms of his aggression during the mid-game and the early game, just building up his own advantages.
And the cool thing, too, is that a lot of the times that is done self-sufficiently, just him and Destiny. We know that Cloud9 have the resources to facilitate a stronger side bot lane because Copy is used to playing champions in the past to roam on the other side of the map, but the fact that Copy is playing things like Aurelia, Yasuo, that means that King and Destiny most of the time are on their own because Copy's trying to show off and impress through his lane prowess in the mid lane. And the fact that King and Destiny are super self-sufficient, Darshan is also being an incredibly stellar performer in his own lane matchup pretty much across the board. All of Cloud9 are really much operating on their own 2 feet, and it's not until mid-game where they start coming together and even showing more why they are such a formidable team and they are in our contention for top 3.
Yeah, well, we can't just give the love over to Cloud9, especially, Rafa, since I know you have a lot of love for Dignitas. We have to talk about Spawn as well, because Spawn's someone that we've gotten to see a bit more of, but has been just absolutely amazing, not just in terms of how he performs in Dignitas, but his performance across just Academy as a whole.
Yeah, this is by far Trevor, aka Spawn's best split in Academy. And I think it's so incredible to see this growth and arc as a player when you go back and see where he came from in amateur almost 2 years ago. Polar Ace, the beginnings, Ashe Specialist, right? We talked a little bit about it on the main broadcast yesterday, even known for some Ezreal gameplay in the past as well. But now he's playing things like Lucian, he's playing Tristana, he's playing Yasuo as well, Twitch on top of it. The fact that Spawn has taken so much time to diversify his champion pool, he's even playing aggressive picks like the Kalista as well. This is a person that is showing that, hey, I'm no longer the amateur player that took weak side and just let everyone else play on the map while I just fended for myself. I'm someone that is worth investing resources into, and I'll show you why I'm one of the best, if not the best performing marksman in Academy right now.
Yeah, I would argue he's already our best performing marksman, but my challenge to him is I want you to take this even further, right? We've been seeing, we said a couple of weeks ago when Pyro was with us, maybe he's not willing enough to make plays. Maybe he's not willing to go forward to be aggressive. And if you looked at Spring Spawn, that was 100% the case. But now we're starting to see him take those footsteps forward. He's slowly inching his way towards being much more aggressive and being a force of carrying Dignitas rather than just being their super stable marksman in these team fights. He's now starting to step up and actually challenge other people instead of just letting them make mistakes around him.
And I think that comes from JJ being loosened up on the whole Mama Bear responsibilities for around the map. Now that Insanity has come in through the mid lane and has some leadership experience and veterancy from his time in the LCS, JJ doesn't have to worry about the rest of the map. He can be concerned only with Trevor for most of the early laning phase, which then opens up opportunities for Spawn to look and see for look for kill windows and check with JJ, the more experienced players, like, hey, I think this is good. Can we look here? And JJ will be like, yeah, bro, go in. I got you. Let's go. And then that's where Spawn gets the limit test and continue pushing himself as a potential LCS player in the next year or so.
So then, the fact that we've narrowed in so much on these two ADCs and what they're capable of, well as just seeing Spawn's growth in general, how do you think that this showdown in particular is going to be going down between these two players? Because always seeing two ADCs that are able to perform go ahead in a matchup, be quite curious, especially when these two teams are so close in record just all around, Joshi.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that we have to look at is you have to be not afraid of the names. I know we see this all the time. I do it when I do 1v1s with, younger players. I see it on stage in big tournaments as well. Sometimes you have to ignore the nameplates a lot of the time, right? And I feel like that's something that Spawn has had a little bit of difficulty with in the past. He will see the name of the opponent across from him, and I think in spring, when you saw him play up against someone like Howery, he wouldn't be as aggressive. He wasn't as willing to make plays. And the confidence that we've seen him build over the past couple of weeks, he needs to maintain that going up against King and Destiny, who are such a storage, such a powerful bottom lane. And I think if he can do that, we're going to get an incredibly volatile, very bloody bottom lane, where it will probably be very one-sided, but if Spawn has the confidence, he can make it in his favor.
Yeah, and considering Dignitas' spot in the standings, and we're still only halfway through the split, there's still plenty of weeks for Dignitas to clean up execution on things. This is still time where Spawn should be limit testing and pushing how far he can go against someone like King, who has that experience advantage over him.
By default, though, to kind of go back to your original question, I think we're probably going to see Cloud9 have a bit of an edge here in this bottom lane, unless Spawn can prove us wrong, right? We've done a lot of looks at his gameplay, and when he started becoming more aggressive, my first question was like, okay, that was a really good game. Is it going to be the trend, or is it just a one-off? And now, this is his moment. This is his big test going up against what I would argue is our other strongest bottom lane in the league. And just looking at the way that King and Destiny play, Spawn needs to continue that trend and showcase that he is not going to be backing down in the face of some overwhelming competition.
Okay, so then if Cloud9, their bot lane is going to have the advantage going into this matchup, then where do we want to see for Dignitas to be taking some sort of advantage back in return? Is it just trying to funnel resources into bot to make sure they can contest? Or is there somewhere else, Rafa, that you would like to see Dignitas stand up to try and take Cloud9 down?
I mean, historically, XU has been the other primary carry, and with the change in roster from spring to summer, they've cut down on the developmental pieces from 4 to 2, leaving it now to Spawn and XU. And based on their series yesterday, XU was absolutely massive, both in the Belveth game as well as the Viego game. He made sure that he took calculated plays and risks, something a far cry from the days where he was known as the Lee Sin player that would just try and force plays, even if it was a 50-50 or super volatile. XU is showing a lot of growth individually as a developmental piece as well, and so that is always a piece of the map that Dignitas can look to empower if things don't go right on the bottom side of the map.
It's great seeing when something just clicks for a player, right? And XU earlier in the split was just kind of not having a great split. He was taking a lot of fights that he probably shouldn't. He wasn't really sure what objectives to play around. But since Belveth was released, it felt like it gave Dignitas a very clear game plan. We're going to go to Rift Heralds. We're going to fight about it. We're going to always move up towards the top side. And I feel like this reinvigorated version of XU, where he has a game plan starting from minute 1, has really solved a lot of the problems that we were seeing in the first half of Dignitas' split.
Right, so I mean, Dignitas wasn't really a team that we talked about in terms of teams that are doing pretty good after the break, but it kind of sounds like now, especially with how you two are talking about XU, just this second half of the split should just be a good time all around.
Yeah, we shied away from it a bit because their first series back was against CLG, and
that's
Big
okay.
boy Dokla came in to sub in for Jenkins, and then he's kind of killing it in LCS, so that's a tough matchup to play against, but.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a tough one, but I'm excited to see now heading up against Cloud9 how Dignitas is going to fare and how Champ Select is going to fare as we're ready to head into it. I'll catch up with you two later.
Bye, Sierra.
Bye, Sierra. All right, Josh, it is draft time. So,
Mark, you're backwards.
Am I? Oh, yeah. Well, it's because my camera is flipped. I mean, I can flip it temporarily just to make it.
If you want, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable about your orientation here, Mark.
Okay. I don't know how to transition out of that one.
There's no way to... That's not careful with the wording there, Mark. We're getting right into the game right now as we watch Cloud9 versus Dignitas. It is going to be very fascinating to watch. I broke you already. This is a good start to the day. Cloud9, though, immediately taking the Belveth off the table. XU is going to be looking for something different, right? He was going towards the Viego. He's been a big Viego Wukong player throughout the first half of summer, as has most of the rest of the league. But as this is coming through, we've also been seeing him start to experiment a little bit more with Lee Sin and Kindred kind of making a comeback for him. And I feel like with two of his main junglers already taken off the table, Cloud9 are either going to first pick Viego here or dare Dignitas to pick it.
Well, Dignitas sniping favorite of Shaden's and technically copies. It's been a two-way flex for them this split so far. But in a Cloud9, they already know that 4 jungle options have been eliminated, but they know that King has been dominant on the Lucian so far, and they have no hesitation in slamming it right away.
Yeah, we've had a long conversation, Cubby and I in particular, talking about whether or not this Lucian Nami was worth picking still, right? And we've seen that the Lucian and Nami, it really needs to find some of these early game advantages, or kind of struggles a bit later on. The one person that I feel has kind of broken this has been Tactical and Mia, and the fact that they haven't necessarily had the same kind of early game dominance, but they are still relevant later on. And going up against Dignitas, we were just talking about how Spawn needs to not worry about the nameplates. He needs to come ready to fight, and so Lucian Nami versus Kalista, probably Renata, is going to be a bloodbath. One of these lanes is going to win, and they're going to win hard.
This is going to call in to play the junglers as well, both XU and Shaden, to see if they're going to come and influence the matchup between these two duos. You called out the Renata would most likely be the pairing with Kalista. I've also seen Kalista Mumu. Am I wrong in that?
I mean, it's definitely an option still available to them. We have seen JJ play the Mumu once so far this season, but I also really like what we're seeing from Cloud9, right? We've been seeing this Kalista very heavily prioritized, and teams are still reeling, looking for ways to deal with it. And Shaden grabbing this Poppy immediately is showing their opportunity to just like shut down Kalista. You get that steadfast presence, and Spawn won't be able to move between his auto attacks. He just stuns himself every single time Poppy is on top of him.
Yeah, this is a great overall just composition and counter pick as well. You can stop other things like the W from Viego whenever he's looking for the root, because it is technically a mini dash. So both compositions here for Dignitas and Cloud9 have solidified their jungler and their bot lane duo. What do they need to do now to round them out?
I mean, the biggest thing is you need ways to actually get these fights started, right? Dignitas have this composition that has a decent amount of counter engage. They have some pick tools, but they don't really have a good way to get people to stand in front of Spawn, right? And so we're starting to look at Hoon. He's played Nara, Kali, Jason, Ornn, and it feels like the Ornn is kind of like the natural choice here, but otherwise, they're just going to get blasted by the amount of mid-range damage that Cloud9 has already drafted for themselves. And so Dignitas are kind of put in a kind of a rough situation.
I think that Silas ban is signaling an Ornn coming in, because that's definitely an ultimate you don't want to give over to Cloud9 for free. As Cloud9 looking for one more ban. It was a Corki previous here, trying to target out Insanity's champion pool. Would it be another control mage or something that could get priority? It is the blind pick Gnar that has worked well for Hoon in the past.
Interesting. Well, we do know, like, Hoon has not had a whole lot of games with Dignitas. Prior to his start earlier this week, he had only played 2 scrim games with the rest of Dignitas, but he sounds very excited to play with the rest of the team, and he really struggled going to Dokla. But that's not exactly a harsh indictment of Hoon as a player, right? Dokla has been playing in LCS, most valuable prospect, #1 in Champions Queue in the end of spring. We know he's pretty darn good. But Darshan, I think, is kind of, in some ways, almost Dokla light, right? In the way that he actually plays. He is so focused on trying to find wins in his lane.
Darshan is definitely no sleeper when it comes to being a tough opponent in the top lane. We saw a massive game from him on the Aurelia yesterday and closing out their series against, I'm blanking on the name, I know it was against the Nard, and he kind of just ran away with it and destroyed it. But the Swain coming in for Compy, as Cubby has enlightened me, Swain is a great option when the composition you're playing against is lacking damage, and because they already seen the main damage carries in Viego, Kalista, Lissandra being kind of low damage, that's a great option for Swain.
Yeah, it's a great spot, right? The things you will look at for Swain to be really strong are low range and low damage. Even though the Lissandra has kind of low damage, the one person that he needs to be careful of is Spawn, but I feel like Cloud9 have already picked enough tools that this should be a pretty natural matchup. This would be bold if they actually try and pick it. And the Vladimir coming through for Hoon. We haven't seen him play it yet this year, but going directly into the Fiora, this is a matchup where he can have a lot of success, but he can also really flounder. He's really opting into a situation where Darshan suddenly also gets a free lane, but Hoon is counting on outscaling him.
And this has flipped the script for the narratives we set up here. We were really looking at obviously this bot lane duo to be super volatile, and it still is in its own right, but now suddenly we're forced to talk about the top lane because it is going to have catastrophic consequences for who wins the matchup. If Darshan gets ahead, you have a split pusher that no one on Dignitas is equipped for, but if Hoon gets ahead, you suddenly override the problem of lacking damage because Vladimir can just one-shot you.
Exactly. Swain's damage is not that high over the course of any single part of the fight. He really relies on grinding it out and not dying. But this is a spot where Hoon, he's kind of this ticking time bomb, right? Because even though he won't always be able to match Fiora in the split, depending on how the early lane goes, he will at some point be able to one-shot Lucian. And at that point, King no longer really gets to play. He's too short range to enter a lot of these team fights. And so, Darshan, we know he's a dominant laner. We know he plays for this level 1. Let's see if he can put Hoon behind and make sure this Vladimir, the ticking time bomb, has too many seconds on it to matter.
We have quite the matchup already in game 1 of our last day of our Super Week here in Week 5 for Academy. I'm so glad that Cloud9 and Dignitas are ready to throw punches down in almost every single lane. I definitely thought that this was setting up for an Ornn pick, but you know what? The fact that Hoon is showing confidence coming in his first week of Academy, saying that, you know what? Give me the Vladimir. Let's see what happens. This is going to be a spicy one, Josh. So let's get ready to load up on the Rift for game 1 between Cloud9 and Dignitas Academy.
Also, while we're at it, we always want to give a shout out to our lovely observers. We have Lauren and Andy on the case today. Say hello, guys.
In your own way.
Andy, it's okay. I don't know who's actually our OBS one today, but I know they've been doing some cool work behind the scenes, so we'll have a chance
to
mess with them a little bit later.
Is it a hashtag Leche Fandom or hashtag Mermage Monarchy Day?
I'm actually not sure. Maybe Joey will let us know here in a minute, but we do have Cloud9 as they go out into the Rift. The big thing to pay attention to right now is Darshan opting with the Grasp of the Undying to start this lane, right? He's not going for the Conqueror, no lethal tempo. This is him going for these quick, short bursts of a trade going up against Hoon. And the thing about Vladimir, you know when he can hit you, right? He's got a bar that says, oop, I'm loading up to be able to hit you. Oh, I hit the halfway? Okay, let's fight for a second. Oh, it's on cooldown. All right, I'll be back in 9 seconds to actually trade with you again. And gives very clear windows for Darshan to play around.
Copy. Uh-oh.
Copy.
Handshake. That's not the handshake that you want to take. That's the handshake of death right there. And first blood goes over critically to Spawn for Dignitas.
That's crazy. And JJ, like, he's passing this interview. That's a firm handshake if I've ever seen one. Copy was not ready for that. Has to pull a teleport immediately. And this is something that we look at level 1s and we normally attribute it to players like Chad who do these crazy things to start the game. But putting Shaden on the back foot, forcing him to go leashless on the top side can make him really uncomfortable.
This does put Dignitas in a position where they could split the map. This would be very difficult for Hoon if he does not receive jungle pressure from XU to bail him out in case anything gets dicey. But the fact that XU, after doing 2 of Shaden's camps, is crossing over, is trying to completely shut out Shaden from being able to get any of the topside camps.
Right stuff. But we do have word. It is Mermage, our main observer today. Leche is working on replays and helping out with that. So let's go ahead, Andy, say hello to everyone.
You know, that would be
that's a very Andy thing, for sure.
It's freaking out on the stats board. It's like, don't point attention to me. Let me just do my job.
Well, love you guys. Dignitas, though, with this early game lead, right, we are seeing that XU, he took the Raptors away. He showed that he was crossing, but this is big break, right? He's not going to be doing all of his top side camps. He's moving down towards the bottom side and denying Shade an opportunity to clear out the eastern quadrant of the map. Because we've noticed, I've been looking at this bottom lane, this is the first time that either King and Destiny or Spawn and JJ have had much of a push. That this would normally be Shade's opportunity to go into the opposing jungle, but the jungle's already gone.
Correct. And now XU's going to mark him, and Shaden's probably going to be like, oh, he's here. Oh. Okay, well, XU gets the crab, but he gets slammed into the wall by Shaden. XU is fine, though. Not too much damage from the Poppy in the early game without the assistance of the rest of the lanes. But this denies any opportunity for Shaden to really get any camps, and now he's trying to calculate and said, hey, I don't think he didn't take his red buff. He only took one camp on the top side of the map. The fact that XU has played such a great pathing game so far, he's completely denied any options for Shaden to look to get some camps back and keep up pace with XU.
And XU using his opportunity to run bot lane. He sees Poppy mid. Okay, just kidding. There's nothing to actually do here as they go a little bit too early, Spawn and JJ, so XU cannot get into position. But I also want to praise Hoon. I was worried that he was going to get a little bit run over by Darshan. This Fiora has been blindable for a lot of players, and Hoon has a small advantage. That Shaden, oh, that's a feels bad, man, if I've ever seen it.
Oh, wait. I think Shaden's just waiting to see if Hoon is going to push up, but Insanity might be able to look to collapse here. If Shaden doesn't get this gank off fast enough, things could get dicey for the side of Cloud9. Hoon has Ghost and Ignite. He's looking to turn it around onto Darshan. He's forced to flash away. One more blood transfusion proc. It's Shaden, but XU comes in clutch. Takes the kill. Hoon is out safely.
And that gank was so hard to make work, right? You saw Hoon just turn it around on Darshan. XU was already in the area. As you said, Insanity was moving his way up. Shaden was feeling a little bit desperate to try and make something happen, and Hoon just calmly outplays it, showing that Dokla is still having an opportunity to play over Darshan. It's not just a situation where Hoon's going to get run over. Maybe the jet lag is back. Maybe he's adjusted to the time zone. I don't know what it is, but Hoon already starting off this game great.
Yeah, I honestly would love to hear the comms for Dignitas right now, because you have to know, or you have to imagine, that the communication and the flow of information talking about where Shaden is has been absolutely stellar, because Dignitas were prepared for it, and they were able to counteract every single move that Shaden has attempted so far. And this has given Dignitas a solid advantage, 1,000 in the first 6 minutes of the game.
And Hoon, he's still going to be alright on the CS after all is said and done, even without the teleport. Darshan forced to teleport back, but Darshan, he's feeling the pressure too. He's trying to gank mid.
He's like, guys, I gotta do something.
This is a Joshi roam.
Is this how you feel when you think your jungler's coming in to gank, and then you guys don't even get the kill, and you're just like, guys, I gotta do something?
Well, I know one of the mid laners often play with it says, like, yeah, sometimes Joshi is just like on Jace and he just shows up mid and he just shock blast the enemy opponent, and I'm like, why are you here? But thanks for the 500 damage, I guess, and then just leave. And that's kind of what Darshan was looking like. He's like, well, I have nothing to do in lane. We gotta wait for Hoon to push back out. Let's see if there's an opportunity to do anything. So feels like Dignitas off to a pretty good start. Their bottom lane is already doing just fine. Oh yeah, they got the kill at the level 1. I was like, when did they kill them?
Oh, Destiny force a flash. XU is here. Doesn't have flash of his own, so can't get quite in range, but they still have enough damage just from Spawn's Callista. And to be fair, XU didn't even get any assist gold, so that is an isolated 2v2 kill.
The 2v2 coming through from Spawn and JJ. They step up, and King and Destiny on the back foot. The top lane is winning, the bottom lane is winning, and it really comes down to the level 1 plan that they had. They caught out Copy to start it. They gave Spawn this advantage, and he's driving it home already, finding this 2v2 kill over King and Destiny. They grab the Dragon and Dignitas. They're now up 2,000 gold. This is not how this team normally looks.
Yeah, and I have to give props over to Dignitas as well. When we came into this series, expectations were for Cloud9 to be the better prepped team, the better just across the board kind of map state team as well. But the fact that Dignitas has shown us not only a great opener, capitalizing on the first blood, and XU has just made a really stellar just pathing example and completely shut out Shaden from any early game moves that you want to make on the Poppy. Because now this just puts Shaden into the spot of, all right, well, I'm Poppy, I guess I'll be a tank, I guess I'll be a frontline, but we haven't been able to really find any windows to put C9 back into a favorable state.
Yeah, and so let's kind of go back to what we talked about with the draft, right, where we had Copy coming in on this Swain. The core idea was that he wants to operate against a team that is low range and kind of low damage, and that's kind of what we were looking at the very beginning of the draft, but now Spawn has skyrocketed ahead. This Swain suddenly is not going to be nearly as tanky as it needs to be in order to make these team fights work, and so Copy, this player that we were praising as having opportunities to solo kill his lane opponent, now has been forced to take the cleanse from the Summoner Spellbook. Now he has to be worried about if XU is going to be popping up. Now he has to be worried about whether or not he can even walk into the middle of the enemy team, or if he's just going to get blown up by Spawn.
Yeah, there's just no way that Cloud9 feel comfortable about contesting. Dignitas cleanly take the first Rift Herald of the game. The first Dragon also went over to Dignitas, so on the objective game, they're also killing it here.
Yeah. So we will look for where they can go from here, right? Shaden on this Poppy really relies on having a couple of good early ganks, but it does have some utility later on in the game. So we do want to pay a bit more attention to where Shaden is going to go. What is his game plan from here? He's not going for the Divine Sunder, more aggressive style build that we often see on this champion. Instead, he just recognizes that now Cloud9, they need to slow the game down a little bit so that all their pieces can come online.
Quite the advantage that you have to overcome. 2,000 gold lead, as you stated before. The next Dragon isn't going to be for another 2.5 minutes, so there's some time that Shaden can look for something, but with item breakpoints starting to come online in the next couple of minutes as well, Dignitas are going to be the ones first achieving that thanks to the gold advantage that they have. And already, XU is prepared. Even though Shaden isn't on this side of the map, he's ready to continue playing and leveraging Spawn's advantage that they have right now. 2 kills on this Callista.
I've honestly been really impressed, right? It's not the kind of play that XU normally goes for. He normally has, you know, these timing attacks. I've been watching too much IQ recently, but he always looks for different ways to move around the map in situations where the opposing jungler won't be ready for him. But this is kind of an evolution of his gameplay where he just sits and he waits and looks for opportunities where other players won't be ready to interact with him, and this is a perfect example of that.
Destiny, great use of the Trinket Sweeper, knows that JJ is waiting around, but do they know if XU is around? Well,
they know now.
Yeah.
Copy's coming.
Can Copy turn this around? His entry path has been cut off here, and I think this might be first brick. Oh, just barely. I think they'll be able to get enough.
Close.
Shaden forced now to make a move on the other side of the map. Hoon already popped his ghost. Hopefully the Hemo Plague will give him enough healing to sustain back up. But Shaden with a good flash and heroic slam pushes him right back into the waiting arms of Darshan.
Ooh, and it looks like Hoon, he had a bit of a moment where he turned back. I think that was a bit of a misclick. He might have been able to continue running, but Shaden, as you call out, good flash, making sure they can find their way onto Hoon, and they turn around some of the issues that they were having in the top lane. The Hexdrinkers come through. Darshan is strong again in this lane. We got to go back to the entire point of, at some point, Hoon is going to one-shot King this game. And Hoon is still a lot closer to it now than he was going to be at the very beginning. So Dignitas, with all that said, we got to go back to the first thing we said, where we were looking at XU and the Belabet. He has game plans now. It's 30 seconds till the next Dragon actually spawns. XU's already got his back. He's got the Divine Sunder. He's going to come out onto the map, and he's going to start challenging this with the strength of his bottom lane.
Yeah, this is the strongest point for Viego. It's such a huge point. You get all the stats that you would want, and you get a lot of sustain thanks to the passive. So XU is a formidable fighter in this point of the game. Cloud9 don't have anyone apart from King that has an equally matched up power spike. So this just seems like another Dragon that Dignitas will be able to take without contest. I want to see, though, if Cloud9 are going to continue attacking the top side of the map, because if we go back to that top lane matchup, Fiora could be the split pusher that no one from Dignitas is equipped to answer. You leverage that off the ground, and Cloud9 is suddenly back in the game with a win condition that Dignitas don't really have an answer for.
It's very surprising to me, actually, that, you know, now that you brought that up, Dignitas haven't rotated their bottom lane towards the top side yet. There's still a couple of minutes left to actually play for a couple more plates. You get the 2v1 going into Darshan. You're there when the Rift Herald actually spawns, so suddenly you give yourself all kinds of tools, and as soon as I say that, they instantly start roaming towards the top side. I love what we're seeing from Dignitas. They feel much more coordinated than they did in spring, even earlier in the summer, and it feels like they have a real game plan as they want to shut down Darshan, the one person on Cloud9 who has a kill.
It's also the one person that could really upset Dignitas' plans right now. Cloud9 looking to see if they can protect Darshan now that the rest of the Dignitas squad is coming in hot to make quick cut of Darshan's day. This is going to be a very tough proposition to ask for Cloud9 because it doesn't seem like the rest of their resources are being split over towards the top side of the map. In fact, Copy is being used to deal with Hoon temporarily on the bottom side.
This is a tough spot, right? Even though Copy has some damage now that he has the Leandres completed, he's a mana champion, but here's Shaden.
Okay, he flashed over the wall, or I think that was Hex Flash. Just
Hex Flash.
Trying to look for an opportunistic opportunity. That was an onomatopoeia, I think.
Keep up.
Happens.
Those are onomatopoeia too. XU gotta run away, but so far Dignitas very happy with the situation. Copy is not going to be able to prevent Hoon from actually farming, and Darshan taking some chugs. There are 5 plates, I'm pretty sure, when Spawn and JJ come up here. Now there's 1.
Dude, can we get the gold? Oh, dude, Andy already knows.
Andy's on
like,
the ball.
Talking about plates, my casters must want to know the gold lead. And look at that, almost 1,500 ahead. Jeez. Spawn.
We said one of them was going to win and win hard, and so far Spawn and JJ, they get a second plate for themselves. They continue to balloon this lead, and as every starts to back away, I think this is about 30 seconds before the Rift Herald actually spawns. They can come back and actually play for it. All of them trying to spend their money, and the Night Harvester coming out from Hoon as well.
Will Hoon come to the party as well? Oh, dude. Is he making
Party time. I don't know. I think they are undecided as of yet. He's kind of like hovering towards the mids, like, do you guys want me to come? Should I not?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, do I have to come?
Do I need to
like,
RSVP?
Do you guys really need me, or can I continue farming? Because it's not the point in the game where Vladimir is super excited about fighting. He's super excited when it's like 2 or 3 items, because then you can guarantee to one-shot people. However, Hoon just poking Shaden away, making sure that the path to the Rift Herald is completely open for Dignitas to walk through.
Yeah, and it feels like Dignitas, they're hunting around, but this is also something we know Dignitas does. They look for a lot of these, you know, small isolated skirmishes, these little fights, but it is giving time for Cloud9 to decide whether or not they actually want to try and contest this fight, and Tenny's like, guys, please, come hit it. Just hit. Yep, Pryo mid lane, we got Pryo top, what more do you want?
Yeah. We don't need to take their jungle camps too. Come on, let's get this out. Waves are pushed out. We've set all the steps. Don't worry, you're not going to stumble. You're not going to throw. We got this. It's complete darkness for Cloud9. They have no way of being able to contest unless a copy W accidentally hits it. But XU has the Rift Herald. That would be pretty hype. It would not be hype for Dignitas, but Cloud9 would be would swag about it.
Yeah, Copy would be very excited. Now they have 4 members here in the mid lane. Dignitas have this weird flank. Oh, the flash!
Tries to flash forward, looking on to JJ, but look at the flank that Hoon has, coming right through with the Hemo Plague, and Shaden is too far forward. The hostile takeover from JJ completely zones Cloud9, so they cannot support their jungler, and the Rift Herald, you called it, Josh, it is going to signal the death of this mid turret, and Insanity looking for the second flank. He's got the Glacial Path, he's got the Frozen Tomb, they're looking for King. Copy might just be another good target to clip as well, but he's popped the Demonic Ascension. He's buying a lot of time, but can he buy as much time as he needs for the rest of Cloud9 to come in and salvage this situation? Darshan has teleported in. Can he be the hero? He already finds 1. Can there be more? XU has already fallen. The rest of Dignitas, they're looking for more. Spawn going for it, but cannot clip King. Darshan is the benefactor that gets the shutdown, and Dignitas might have just gone a little too far forward.
Okay, Hoon? Are we done?
Forward. Darshan poking, looking for the lunges. A lot of damage. Oh! And
I feel I feel that, Darshan. I feel it. I know what you're thinking. Man, we're so far behind. I need to do something wild, but a little bit too far. You can't afford to be giving over these kills to Dignitas at this point. You did such a good job finding those two previously. But I also want to, when we get a replay, there's a lot of cool things some small people did, and Sandy bought so much time on the side of the fight.
Yeah, first let's start from the top, Josh. Boom.
Yeah. So I was a little bit surprised when we saw that Hoon coming through. He ults King and he's like, I'm like, you're not killing him yet. You're not late game Vladimir. But the real play comes in when we start looking at the second part of the dive. And Insanity, he goes in. I thought this was pretty bold, but he ends up getting caught. He takes a lot of damage with the ult plus a stopwatch immediately after. Buys so much time off on the side of the fight that they get XU the first reset. But the big thing here is at the end, it's kind of a small thing, right? As Spawn gets hit by this, old Spawn tries to leave. New Spawn is like, oh, I'm taking you with me. Doesn't actually do it. But that's the idea, right?
Yeah.
You see the idea. You see the blood in his eyes.
The unfortunate thing for Spawn is that he was the one that ended up taking turret aggro first, and it was a great bubble from Destiny that clips him. And at that point, Spawn, even though, you know, you can argue that he should back out at that point, I respect that he goes forward. Had the turret aggro not been on him, he might have had the health pool to actually sustain that fight, and
yeah,
could have been just one of those things that you just lose track of in such a hectic corridor there.
True. But we're also getting closer and closer to, with the time that we stopped talking about Spawn, the time that we were like, oh my god, Hoon, what are you doing down here? And so, we still have to look at Spawn for the next couple of minutes. We still have a third dragon that's already going over to Dignitas, and by the time the fourth dragon spawned, it's still all about Spawn. Okay.
It might be about Hoon and Darshan right now. Darshan is really looking to take it to him right now. Darshan, this is what you have to do when your back is against the wall. 5,000 gold deficit still for Cloud9, but Darshan, if he can continue this split push pressure in the side lane, then we're going to have that win condition come to fruition as we highlighted at the end of the draft.
Yeah, you know what, Mark? Hoon didn't believe him. He just didn't.
Oh,
like,
true.
You can't kill me here. What are you doing? And Darshan's like, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Are you gonna ghost? Yeah, I would be using some much less polite language if I was actually the Fiora in this situation. But it's definitely a spell where it's like, use your ghost, please. You need to leave. Give me those summoner spells. And Hoon is like, no, I don't want to.
And then by the time he actually popped it, it was too late.
It's too late. But we can't underestimate how large the lead that Dignitas actually has is still, right? They are still up 5,000 gold. They still have 3 dragons to 1, and while the Baron has spawned, giving Cloud9 a potential opportunity to fight around it, they don't do it very quickly. They don't do it very healthily either, and so it's not a credible threat unless they can get enough vision control that they can threaten to sneak it.
Yeah, unfortunately for Cloud9, Dignitas don't have the best soul to really force the game win off of. It's just Cloud, so, you know, Ultimate's movement speed boost.
Vladimir with Cloud, dude.
Vladimir with Cloud is pretty nice. Whoa! Insanity did not realize that there was a Shaden waiting in the bush, but a great flash over the wall and the Glacial Path. Don't tell me they re-engage this. Don't tell me they re-engage this. Don't tell me Cloud9 get punished for this one. They have the movement speed. They have the disengage. Dignitas 4-on-3. Can't lock him down, but it's the Frozen Tomb that gets Shaden, and the hostile takeover sends friendly fire into the arms of Cloud9, but JJ almost getting clipped. Great face call from Spawn. Will save his support temporarily. Darshan trying to get in range. A flash from Copy. Looking for the grass. But XU coming in there for the respawn on the flank. Spawn still alive. And he's running up down. Hop, skip, and a jump forward. He is rending the spears out of the fish.
Yo, if he doesn't get 4 Star Guardian skins after that play, I don't know what more he needs to do. Trevor standing up tall. They're going to get the Baron. They turn around. You were asking, there's no way Dignitas turn this one around. There's no way Cloud9 get punished for this. But as we take a look, Insanity, the great stopwatch, great flash, and then everybody else telling him, no, we're confident. We can still fight this. He comes right on back into the rest of the fight. And watch how Spawn dances around. One of the things we're always looking at, we know he's a great defensive player. We know he's not going to take unnecessary... He's not going to be going down, and as soon as Darshan overextends, Spawn is ready, saying, you can't do that. I'm going to fight. You have no cooldowns left. You can't hit me.
And the fact that Spawn makes Cloud9 pay for trying to focus down the low health
Not getting hit
targets
by the
instead
bubble.
of him. That's right. He learned his lesson from last time under the tower. No bubble will clip him this time around. And Spawn comes up huge. He is 3 items. Andy, I want to see the gold lead one more time. I want to see how rich Trevor is at this point. 11,000! He has almost 4,000 gold over King.
Hot and rich? What more do you guys need at this point? This guy's got everything going for him. We got 15 seconds left until the Dragon Soul actually spawns. Again, Hoon, big beneficiary of that. You know, Insanity can be, but XU can also just run around this fight so quickly. And Cloud9, they're not trying to contest it. They say, please, we got to get going somewhere. Can we dive with Lysandra? And it's like, no? Are you guys crazy?
Azonia's Hourglass to boot on top of the Frozen Tomb. It is damn near impossible to make that happen for Cloud9. And Dignitas, they see the 2 on the top side of the map and said, okay, well, 3 of us here, only 2 of them here on the bottom side of the map. We can get the outer turret for free. And inhibitor turret will still be up because Shaden is back here. Ooh. Okay, Hoon is fine. Shaden was looking for the Hex Flash, but can't get in range. Handshake, pulls a right back. Whoa! Dude, Shaden just got popped! Where did all that damage come from?
It's all Spawn, man. We said this composition might be too low damage, but Spawn was like, damage, I got you. They got another inhibitor. They're making the full use of this Baron. I thought this one was going to be a pretty clean win coming out from Cloud9 from the very beginning. Cloud9, 11-3 that they've been so far. King, again, still deathless in this game, but the first blood going over, giving Spawn and JJ too much of a lead for Cloud9 to fire back, and as they retreat, as their Baron starts to expire, they're still going to be able to pick up the Dragon Soul and set themselves on a perfect path to victory.
Cloud9 are just scrambling. They are 11,000 gold down, Josh. Give it to me straight, Doc.
He's
We
dead.
gotta call it. Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's worse than that. He's dead, Jim.
Cloud
If anybody
Soul
got
has
that reference, praise to you.
Yeah. Cloud Soul has been picked up by Dignitas. Now, one might say, oh, hold up. Insanity, are you in trouble?
No, not really. Oh, go to your room, mister.
Oh boy, Destiny is here, but it's just the support and the top laner against Spawn and Insanity. 2 extremely fed carries at this point of the game, and Darshan is now on the run. A little bit of healing from Destiny is not going to be enough.
Hello.
When Hoon comes in for revenge, and Destiny is the one that has to pay for it. Dignitas continuing to lay their claim on the entire Rift.
Another turret goes down. Dignitas continue finding kills. I appreciate what Darshan is trying to do. I appreciate that he's trying to make these plays. They're just a little bit too far behind Dignitas. Ooh.
Okay, Shaden going in, but this tank Poppy cannot tank the brute damage that is coming out from Dignitas' backline. It buys enough time that they salvage the inhibitor tower for now. And for Cloud9, the ultimate miracle play is to stall out the game for the next 4.5 minutes, Josh, and hope you can get to the Elder Dragon.
That's a good one, Mark. You think this game's gonna go 4 more minutes?
I'm knocking on wood right now.
Knocking on wood. We'll see. Spawn trying to make sure it doesn't happen, but JJ...
Okay, he gets pulled in. Face call from Spawn. Saves JJ for now. And the rest of Dignitas coming in for the right side of the flank. They've already taken out one. The reset's coming in hot for XU. And the rest of Dignitas can just pile into the base of Cloud9. It's no longer theirs. Dignitas are busting down the door. They're taking everything from Cloud9.
And this should be the end, right? They have super minions pouring in the bottom lane. They have, the remnants of a wave here. And they say that's all they need. Hoon taking the turret. King, can you do anything?
It's more than enough for Dignitas. King can't do a damn thing. The crown has been taken off. Dignitas are here to lay claim for Game 1 against Cloud9 Academy. What a hell of a way to start off in this series.
Great stuff to end off Dignitas' Super Week. And I guess we still have another game to go with Dignitas. That was not close. That was an early game plan. Props to Deos. Props to whoever is making these early game plans for them. They catch out Copy as he goes to see if he can ward the Pixel Brush. And, just some... I don't want to even say sloppy, but just some almost like absent-mindedness coming from Cloud9. They weren't very intentional with what they were doing. They opened themselves up to this attack, and that gives Dignitas everything that they need to win the bottom lane and the game.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I would love to hear either a comms breakdown or just getting insight onto if the attack onto Copy was planned or if it was an opportunistic thing that occurred, and then Dignitas just made a great on-the-fly adaptation. Either scenario is absolutely fantastic for their growth, but of course we're going to see whether or how this series continues to play out when we come back from our break, and it's our halftime show with Sierra.